Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to High Desert Gardening, Redneckified. We have a little bit of fabrication work to do today. What I've got up here on the miter saw is an 8-foot furring strip. It's 1 inch by 2 inch nominally. That's actually 3/4 of an inch and an inch and a half. So it's meant for adding width to 2x4s and things like that. But in this instance, we're going to use it as basic construction material. What we're going to make today are trellises for uh, blackberries and raspberries. And so the reason I've got it up here is I've got to chop this thing in half. It needs to be 4 feet long, and I'm going to need, let's see, for each end of the bed, 2, 4, I'm going to need 4 4-footers. And then we'll make the uprights, probably 6 feet, but we'll see what happens here. So let's get to marking this thing. Move you guys around so you can get a better view. There you go. So we want 4 feet, thereabouts. We'll just make a little mark there. It doesn't have to be perfect. 4 feet plus or minus half an inch. Ain't gonna hurt anything. Line this up with the saw blade. Good enough. Okay, loud noises. There's one. Actually. Okay, I've got 2 pieces here. That'll be for one side. Get the next furring strip on here. Once again, measure 4 feet. Close enough for government work. I like this little Ryobi miter saw. I've had it out here in the weather for years, and it runs like a champ. I need to fix up my dust collection a little bit. My dust collection bag on here is kind of falling apart. It's because of the UV from the sun, but it works pretty good. All right, so we got that. Next thing we're going to do is the actual construction. Well, that could have been a problem right there if I had used all of this. Thing about the furring strips, they are not necessarily the best wood you're going to get. So this little piece, I can just toss it. See what I've got left over here. We'll just measure that guy. It might be pretty close to what I want. And it measures out to almost 6 feet. So what we're going to do is turn it into a 5-footer. Close enough. Throw the scrap over, and we'll get another one. I'm just going to use the one I finished cutting here as my measuring stick. Good enough. That worked. All right, so let's put this trellis together. Okay, I've got the pieces sitting out here, and need to do a little bit of measuring. So the uprights are this piece and this piece. Those are the uprights. And I want them 1 foot in from the edges of the raised bed. So the way we do that, simply go over here, measure a foot, measure a foot, and there we go. So we've got that. Those are really the only measurements we have to have. So I'm gonna set that like that. And that one like that. Where are my marks? Looking for my marks. Thought I marked it. There we go. All right. So I'm going to use these marks just to line these up. They don't have to be square. They don't have to be perfect. Just kind of sort of close. You know, not a huge deal. And what we'll do is we'll put that one there. Like that. Now you can pre-drill and use screws. You can use nails. In my case, I'm going to use staples. A bunch of them. Okay. Notice how I had my hands out of the way. That's why. Let's get a close-up of that. Right down here, you see that right there? Don't ever put your fingers in any path that the staple could take. The whole thing split right out. And that would have been a big owie. All right, so let's put on the next one. Gonna be right about there. Spread those out the way I want them. I think that'll work. And that is one trellis ready to be put onto one end of my raised bed. Let's do the next one. trellis number 2. Next up, okay, so these guys are gonna fit just like that on the end of the raised bed. I'm gonna staple the boards right here. There'll be one on the other end, and I'll run a wire between them. All right, so there you go. There's one trellis on one end. Let's do the other end. Okay, I've got that frame and that frame on either end of this bed. Excuse me, either end of this bed, and between the uprights, end to end, I'll put some wire. Oh, probably at about the 2.5 foot level, and then maybe another one up here at about 4.5 feet. That way, as the blackberries grow, I can just attach those to the wires and kind of keep them somewhat orderly. All right, thanks for watching. Links, yeah, I'll put a link to the staple gun and staples down in the description. I'll also put a link to that little miter saw in the description, and maybe a couple other links, maybe something for the drip irrigation. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Once again, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. It certainly helps out the channel, and I'll see y'all on the next video.